Hey gang, welcome back to another thrilling episode of Mr. Hawkins' geometry class. Last time we talked, I introduced the concept of a 3D solid. We slipped into the third dimension, which is depth. Now the shapes we'll be dealing with in this new unit, we'll be able to hold in the palm of our hand. So objective for the day is to be able to calculate surface area, or lateral area and surface area of prisms. So we're going to start to take measurements of these different 3D solids, and today we're going to focus in on the lateral area and surface area of a prism. We introduced what a prism was. A prism was an example of a polyhedron. Remember, that is a 3D shape made of polygons. So a prism was an example of that. A non-polyhedron, these are 3D solids not made of polygons. So these are the notes that you'll find in your folder for today. I'm actually going to break this into 2 days, though. We'll do the prism today, and then we'll take a look at a cylinder another day. So today we're just going to focus in on the prism, and then we'll look at the cylinder the next day. In any event, surface area. Surface area is the amount of two-dimensional space on the outside of these shapes. I'm not looking at the inside yet. And basically, the way we can find this surface area is you can add up all the sides of it. Add up all the sides. So again, we'll be calculating the area of the sides and then add them all up, and that'll be the total amount of surface area. Total amount of surface area, that's basically the part you would paint of this 3D object, part that you would paint. And then there's formulas to help us figure out that area. So the first thing we're going to look at, like I said, is a prism. So a prism, an example of that is, I'll make a square-based prism here. Here's the top. Here are the sides, something like that. So lateral area is the first thing we're going to look at. So once you identify the bases, I'll make these squares the bases here and here. So those are the two bases. Lateral area is going to be abbreviated LA. And this is just going to be the area of the sides of the prism. So again, that's just going to be these sides around taking off the top and the bottom, just how much paint I would need to paint around the sides of this. So the formula on that is pretty easy. It's P times H. All right, what P stands for, this is what the perimeter of the base is. Perimeter of base. H, that is the height. It is the distance between the bases. So over here on this shape, if this is a base up here and this is a base down here, the distance between them would be the height. So that would be the height. And then the perimeter of the base would be how far around this would be. So around that would be the perimeter of the base. So that's lateral area. It's just the sides of the box. And it talks about the total surface area. Total surface area is abbreviated SA. So this is the area of the sides, which is just your lateral area, which we talked about, plus the area of the two bases. So that's all of the outsides, basically, the sides and the top and the bottom, plus the area of the two bases. So basically, we're going to take this lateral area, which is pH, and now we're going to add on to it. And what we're going to do is, so the pH just gave us the sides of the box. Now I need to add on the top and the bottom. So you're going to add on 2 big B. So big B stands for the area of the base. What we use for big B is going to depend on the shape of the base. So here, if it's a square, just do base times height to figure out the area of the base. If it was a triangle, I'd do 1/2 the base times height. Sometimes it'll be a trapezoid. And I'll have to use the trapezoid formula. So that's why we use capital letter B. That's to let you know we're talking about an area since it's a capital letter. All right, so let's see if we can use these. So here I have a triangle base prism, and I'm asked to find the lateral area and surface area. So let's see. Lateral area we said was perimeter times height. So P is the perimeter of the base. Well, identifying the bases here, they are this triangle here and this triangle down here. They are parallel and congruent bases. So those are my 2 bases. So if I want to find the perimeter of the base, I have to add up the sides. So the perimeter of the base here is going to be 5 plus 12 plus 13. And that's the perimeter of the base. So I just added up the sides of the base. So now the height is going to be the distance between these bases, and that's this distance here, which is given to us over here at 15. From there, just go to the calculator and plug all that in. So let's see. 5 plus 12 plus 13 times 15. And so that's 450. That's square inches. So that's finding the lateral area. Then it asked me to find the surface area. Well, the surface area is going to be the perimeter times the height. So it's going to be the same value, plus I'm going to add on to that 2 times big B. So that being said, I can just, no sense in redoing this. Perimeter times height I found to be 450. Now I'm going to add on to that area of the base. Well, the base here is a triangle, if you notice. You got to remember the area of a triangle is what? 1/2 the base times the height. So that's what I'm going to use for big B since it's a triangle. So in parentheses here, I do 1/2. And now base and height of the triangle have to be perpendicular. I see the perpendicular right here. So that means 12 and 5 are the base and the height. So it'd be something like that. So let's simplify all this mess. Well, 1/2 of times 2 is 1. So that's going to be what, 60? So then add those together. So that would be 0, 11, carry the 1, 510 inches squared. And notice that the total surface area is always bigger than the lateral area. That's because you have to add on to this. So this is always going to be bigger. All right, let's take a look at a rectangular prism. So here we have a rectangular prism. I'll use these as the bases here and here. I always try to find those first. So lateral area, again, is perimeter times height, which in this one will be the perimeter of this rectangle. So that would be what? 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4. Because this would be 2 over here and 4 over here. So 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4. And then the height is that 6. Distance between the bases. So simplifying all that, let's see, this is going to be 12 times 6, which is what, 72? That's 72 inches squared. Then I'll be adding on to that to calculate the total surface area. So perimeter times height plus 2 big B. Again, no need in redoing this. pH is that 72. And I'm going to add on to that the area of the base. So the base here now is that rectangle. Remember that a rectangle is base times height. So instead of using 1/2 the base times the height like we did up here because they were triangle bases, I'm just going to use base times height because now the bases are rectangles. So let's do that. 2 times big B, which is going to be what? 2 times 4. So that's going to be what? 8 times 2 is 16. And then I got to add on 16 to 72. And so that's equal to 88. 88 inches squared. So that's the total surface area of that prism. So down here's another triangle. But basically the homework problems are going to focus on problems like these. where you're finding the lateral area, which is pH, and then the total surface area, which is pH plus 2 big B. Big B is going to depend on what the base is. So I have a few homework problems like those. See what you can do. Next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to focus in on the rest of the notes, which will deal with cylinders. But right now, I just want you to focus on the prisms, so you can get that down before we move on. So again, just the surface area, lateral area, and surface area. Let's see how you do.